So again, it will, you're not going to hear yourself if you say something. Ordering operations and ordering numbers. Okay, so we're going to start off with ordering numbers today, and then we're going to go to order of operations. So part of what you want to be able to do is be able to understand how to order things from least to greatest. So as we look at these four numbers here, 1.01, 0.101, and 0.11, and 0.001. This is a little bit easier. You can look at the ones place and see that this is going to be the biggest number. You can look at the tenths place and see then that this is going to be the smallest number because it has a 0 in the tenths place. So we have 0.001. That's going to be the smallest number. What number comes next after that? We're going to have the 0.101. And then we have the other one with the 10th place. And then there's something in the hundredths place here. So 0.11. And the last one is 1.01. Now, what I've had over the years is that basically everybody ends up with that kind of answer on the test. However, the most common problem that people get incorrect are examples 3 and 4. I would say at least 25% of students don't get those right. So we want to make sure we really focus there. But let's look at number 2. Number 2 is a little bit different because as you look at this situation, these are all fractions, right? And it's kind of hard to compare like which one's bigger than another. So one strategy is we can write it as a mixed number. And a mixed number has a number out front. So 3 halves is the same as 1 and 1/2, okay? And that might be able to give me a little bit of an idea of how that compares then to 9/8. 9/8 would be 1 and 1/8. And 5/4 would be 1 and 1/4. And 100 over 99 is 1 and 1 over 99. So you can see that if you write it as a mixed number, they all are larger than 1, but obviously the one that has the smallest value is 100 over 99. That is going to be smaller than 5/4, and that is going to be smaller than 9/8, and that is going to be smaller than 3 halves. So I've ordered them from least to greatest. Any question there? I would prefer that. If you wrote that on the test, or if you wrote it like, 1 and 1 over 99 is less than, I wouldn't mark it wrong. So I don't try to find ways to take points away. I try to, but I'll be pretty specific if I want in a certain format. So one thing that we did talk about is if you write an answer as 10 over 8, you should reduce your fractions all of the time. See what I'm saying? So I take a half a point off if you don't reduce your fractions. Make sure you do that, okay? All right, example 3. Now this is different because I have a fraction, I have a percentage, and I have a decimal. Let's try to turn them all into decimals, okay? What is 25% as a decimal? 0.25. So you simply move the decimal point 2 places for a percent. Now this is challenging for some people because they say 25%, well obviously that's 0.25, but what if I have 300%? Anybody know what 300% is as a decimal? 3.0, right? You move it 2 places. So a percentage doesn't have to have a decimal at the very front. It just moves 2 places. So 0.25 is 25%. Does anybody know what 1/5 is as a decimal? It's 20% or 0.2. One way you could think about this is 1/5 is the same as 2/10, which is 0.2. See how I turned it into tenths and then that made sense for me? And then this one is obviously 0.3. So as we order these from least to greatest, 1/5 is going to be the smallest, 25% is going to be next, and the one after that is going to be 0.3. When people see example 4, a lot of times they just kind of quit with it because they don't know exactly what the square root of 7 is. I don't either, and I'm really good at math, but I don't know what the square root of 7 is. I can tell you this is 3 1/3, and this is 1 2/3. So I know that this one is smaller. And the square root of 7, that's not too bad because I know the square root of 1 is 1. I know the square root of 4 is 2. And I know the square root of 9 is 3. So therefore, the square root of 4 has to be between what? It's got to be between 2 and 3. Square root of 7 has got to be between 2 and 3. So you know it's going to be 2 point something. So therefore, we could tell right now that 5/3 is the smallest. And then the square root of 7. And then 3 1/3. So that's my grouping. Okay. All right, I want you to turn to your homework quick. Your homework you should see should look like this. We did decimals and fractions the other day. I want you to take about 5 minutes. Whoop, this is the notes. Okay. And right now, I just want you to focus on these 4 problems up top there. Take about 5 minutes, look at those, okay? I'm going to put the answer key up here, and then we'll move on to the second part, okay? So part that says, it says fractions and decimals. It should say ordering numbers in order of operations. I mistitled it. Really don't enjoy. This is something that teachers do not like, but we use this thing called PEMDAS. People familiar with that? And what we don't like about it is it says that multiplication comes before division, and that's not correct. It also says that addition comes before subtraction. That is not correct. If you're going to refer to PEMDAS, then it should be written slightly differently, and I'll write it here just as soon as. Sorry, I'm popping up my other classes just because I need that time. It should be written more like this. You have to say PEMDAS. Multiplication and division have the same level of importance, as does addition and subtraction. You do whichever one comes first, left to right. So make sure that, if you have, say, 9 minus 6 plus 1, in this situation, some people are like, well, you're supposed to add the 6 and the 1 first. No, not at all. You do the subtraction first, okay? And it makes a difference, because if you add first, we get 9 minus 7, which is 2, and that's incorrect. Rather, it's 9 minus 6 is 3, plus 1 is 4. That's the correct result. So addition, subtraction have the same level of importance, so do multiplication and division. But we do start with parentheses all the time. So in this situation, I flow to the parentheses first. I grab addition simply because it comes first, and then subtraction. And I like to write out each step. I will say that by and large, when we get to the test, about 25% of people are making mistakes on some of these. And if you want to be careful with your order of operations, just do one step at a time. I'm not going to mark it wrong on the test if you don't do one step at a time. But just to be clear, that might help you a little bit. So I'm going to write parentheses. I have 65 minus 5, and then I'll divide by 15. My second step, I will do my subtraction. 65 minus 5 is 60, and I divide by 15, and I get 4. So you can see that I just do one step each time, and that hopefully produces the right result. Some of you guys are like, I've been doing order operations my whole life. This is correct, but people are doing it incorrectly. Okay, so it happens a lot. Here, which operation do I do first? Yep, the 8 plus the 2 is 10. Plus 12 divided by 6. Move to my second step, which is going to be my division. I have 10 plus 2 because 12 divided by 6 is 2. I get 12. Next one, you might want to do the multiplication first, but again, we must move to parentheses. 18 times 8 minus 6. 18 times 8, if you don't know what it is, go ahead and write it out and multiply it. 8 times 8 is 64. And 8 times 1 plus 6 is 14. So 144. minus 6 is 138. You guys never asked me if I got my keys unlocked on my car yesterday. 7th hour, I went out and broke into my car. Took me about 4 minutes, 30 seconds. Pretty good at it. JC, if you ever need me to break into your car, I can do it. Example 4, I start with the innermost parentheses. You can see this with a little bit more involved. I'll write the 8 divided by the 4 plus, this is 25, then times 4. Now, if you would like to, you would do both sets of parentheses now at the same time. You could. That could save you a step, I suppose. So these have the same order of importance because they're both in parentheses. So I could say 2 plus 100. I get 102. This is a common one that people would make a mistake on. I'll do the addition here to get 22, and I'll do the division here to get 2. Notice that those are both sitting in parentheses. People forget to write that outermost parentheses, and all of a sudden they'll do the 2 times a 2, and you don't want to do that. You first want to add 22 and 2 to get 24, and then we multiply by 2 to get a grand total of 48. I want you to try the last one, example 6, on your own, and then we'll check to see if you get the same thing that I have. Go ahead and take 30 seconds, try the last one on your own, see how it goes. Okay, we'll check it out. We should have 2 times 2 minus 6 plus 4 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4 minus 6 plus 4 times 3. In this area here, my most important operation is multiplication. So I have 4 minus 6 plus 12. A number of people will add 6 and 12 on the test. Don't do that. Subtraction comes first in left to right. So therefore, it's 4 minus 6 is negative 2 plus 12, which is a grand total of 10 is the result. We good? Okay. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. You can turn to your worksheet, and you can go ahead and work on the rest of those problems for order of operations. And then we're going to do a few test questions like we did yesterday. Before class is over, again, we got till 14. We will use the hour, but hopefully you shouldn't have any work left. If you do want to check your answers, it should be right here. Actually, all the answer keys are together, so if you need to check one from the other day, you sure can as well. And you should focus on being able to do these without a calculator. After we get out of the arithmetic unit, then you'll be able to definitely use that calculator more. Some good practice here. We got this guy right here. Okay, so these are straight from the AccuPlacer. Questions from their practice test that I just pulled off. Take about 3-4 minutes and work with a partner. But these are 3 questions that they have. Which of the following statements is true here? This one involves ordering numbers. This one here, which one of the statements is true? Again, another ordering numbers. And for this last one, it's 85 over 5 minus 12 times 3 plus 4 times 3. And you wanted to determine what that is equal to. And these are all intended to be without a calculator. They do give you multiple choice option there. Go ahead, take about 3-4 minutes to see if you can figure those out. Okay, give you one more minute. We'll go over these together. If everybody watches the Vikings game this weekend, I give you 2 bonus points on your test. You're right, I'm making that up. Would you watch the Vikings game if I gave you 2 bonus points? Morgan would. All right, here we go. Which of the following statements is true? I know that that's not the smallest one. 0.2 is the smallest one, so this one's gone. 0.8 is smaller than that, but nope, 0.9 should not be there. Looks like this one is the correct one. Letter C. Which of the following statements is true? Again, I'm looking for the smallest one, and 13/12 is the smallest one. 6/5 is not, because that'll be 1 1/5, whereas 13/12 is 1 1/12. And a 12th is smaller than a 5th. So that's not right. It's that one, letter D. Then finally, let's go ahead and do this piece. You want to see 85 divided by 5. So 5 goes into 85. If you have to set it up, you can set it up like that. 5 goes into 8 once. It gives me 5. I subtract, and I get 3. I drop the 5. 5 goes into 35 7 times. So that'll be a 17 minus 12 times 3 plus 4 times 3. So I did this division first. Now I'll do that multiplication. 17 minus 36 plus 4 times 3. Next step, I'm going to do the 4 times 3. 17 minus 36 plus 12. People generally want to grab the addition first. Don't. Do 17 minus 36 first. And if you do that, you get a negative 19 plus 12. Negative 19 plus 12 is a negative 7. Letter B is correct. Okay. So that's it for today. But before we completely exit, just something you should know. If and when you head off to college and they have you take a college entrance exam, such as, say, the AccuPlacer for the mathematics part, the shelf life on that score is good for 2 years. Okay? So suppose that Max, instead of headed off to college, he wants to possibly go play semi-professional football. Okay? He goes and tries to do it for a year. He breaks his kneecaps. Okay? Both kneecaps shattered. Done. He's like, shoot, now I got to go back to college because I ain't playing football anymore. Okay? He doesn't have to retake that AccuPlacer. The shelf life is 2 years. Now, normally we do this class in first semester. This is the first time it's really been second semester. So when the end of the year comes, I'm going to tell you guys, sometimes I try to get the AccuPlacer to happen on site here so you guys can just take it, see your score, and be done. It probably ain't going to happen. It probably isn't going to happen. You guys are going to be too busy. I'm going to be busy. All track and field. It's just a very busy time. You guys are going to be ready to graduate. So there will be time slots available where you can sign up and take the AccuPlacer. So if you want to take it in May, kind of after we finish this stuff, that'll be a good time to take it to score as high as you can, and then the shelf life lasts for 2 years. 2 years shelf life. Get my point? So that way, if you've got other plans or something, then you can go do that. Okay? So, all right, we stop there. Thanks for your attention. You guys got 3 minutes to visit.